Welcome to Truth and Transcendence. You can find all our other episodes on truthandtranscendence.com. This one is for the practitioners out there, and it's to do with hierarchy, and it's to do with disclosure, self-disclosure. So some of us believe that the more experienced we are and the more mature we are in our practice as a practitioner, and I'm including coaches, consultants, therapists, psychotherapists, body workers, etc., dance facilitators, everybody who works with people in a helping capacity. Some of us believe that the more mature and experienced we get, the more, in quotes, senior we are. In other words, we're at a higher and higher level. And that because of that, the hierarchical gradient between ourselves and our clients increases. So that eventually, in our 80s or whatever, there's this extreme gradient between us and our clients where we are far above them and they are far beneath us because we're just so evolved. And I'm going to suggest that that particular perspective is an immature perspective, because that is a perspective which says that hierarchy is the good. In other words, that the better you are, the more above other people you are. So in other words, is equating experience and worth as a practitioner with power differential. Whereas actually, power differential is nothing to do with working with people and helping them to grow and expand and learn. There's a degree of authority that's required, which should be contracted between parties in a conscious and choice-led way. You know, things like, do we agree that we're going to turn up in such a time? Do we agree that this is how we're going to manage working with the direction of what we're going to be doing? Can we agree this is how we're going to set the boundaries for what we're doing? There are all sorts of things that, yes, need to be agreed, but they should be mutually agreed, not just imposed by the practitioner necessarily in most cases. So there are cases where they should be imposed by the practitioner, but even then it's with the consent of the client. It's not simply imposed upon them by the practitioner because I'm the authority and you are not. Like the old-fashioned mode of doctor-patient, for example, where the doctor knows best, the patient knows absolutely nothing, and in fact, possibly what the patient thinks could be dangerous and harmful. That's an old model. What I've actually discovered in my work and in conversation with other practitioners is that the more evolved we get in our work, the less the hierarchy actually exists. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One being that the more evolved we are as practitioners, the more we have developed a core of strength, a core of balance, grounded knowledge, grounded awareness, sensitivity. These things are actually part of our embodied self. They're part of our present. They're part of who we are. They're not something that we do. They're something that we be, something that we are, a way of being. So, and because that's present, there's no need to then impose hierarchy on anybody else. It's not a requirement. Whereas when we're much younger and much earlier in our career, we do need to impose more hierarchy partly because we need that structure to support us as practitioners, to help us stay on track. I've just recently started training people in a piece of work, one of my pieces of work. And within there's a set of agreements that somebody agrees to. And that set of agreements is there to support and protect their clients and also to support and protect them as practitioners. It's a structure to help them keep themselves on track and to help them help their clients to stay on track. So as they begin working with this particular piece of this part of the freedom of spirit modality, as they begin to work with it, that piece of structure is absolutely vital because it frees them up to relax into what they're doing within a container that they feel safe and the client feels safe. Now, as they go on and continue working with that over the years, they will very probably reach a point where they'll be able to say, Catherine, I don't think I necessarily need this in quite the same way as I did at the beginning. Because the way I'm now embodying what I'm doing, it is now doing the work, which means now working with my clients, it can be much more like a peer-to-peer experience because of that ingrained, embodied authority that I now have within myself because of my experience. So if you're a very evolved practitioner and you've been doing it for a long time and you have the maturity, are you noticing that the need for hierarchy is reducing over time? And if you are noticing that, I would like to congratulate you because that then suggests that you move beyond the need for an external structure to keep everybody safe. That you've actually internalized that structure such that it happens naturally. And yes, of course, sometimes we need guidelines and ground rules and things like that. But we don't need them in order to bolster us. We need them because that's something for the actual cognitive understanding of the client to help them give themselves the support that they need. So the more we evolve as practitioners, the hierarchy becomes less, not more, which is the opposite of the power-led mentality, which says the more senior you are, the more hierarchy and more seniority you then have, and the more you behave as if you have seniority and hierarchy. So thank you for listening and thank you for watching. Have a great week and I will see you next time.